Hey everyone, I am back this week with another weigh-in, check-in with you guys. Before I get to that though, I wanted to discuss why I decided on the SVG surgery. I know I touched on it in the first video, my last video, but I wanted to get into it a little bit more. I've been overweight pretty much my entire adult life. Even as a teenager, I said this before, I was called fat. I was always the fat friend. Um, Even though when I look back on pictures of me as a teenager, I, I just don't get it. Even today, I would give anything to be that size again today. Actually, I don't even know if I'd want to be that small. That like I was back then. And I think I was 160, which I'm 5'2", so that's short. And then as a teenager, yeah, that's considered overweight. But I don't know. I'll insert some photos, and you guys can see. I didn't back then, because I was just always called fat. I was always just the fat friend. I guess I just accepted it. I was fat. But when I look at those pictures today, I don't see it, and I wish I was that size again. And actually, not even, like I said, not even that size. I don't even want to be that size. I'd be happy just finally getting back to under 200 pounds. I know that wouldn't be what a doctor recommends, but that's what I would be happy with, is finally getting back to that. I don't even know the last time I was 200 pounds or under 200 pounds. As I told you before, my official starting weight for this journey was 309 pounds. It has been, as of today, it has been 3 weeks with me on this journey of me. I'm kind of following a post-op diet, but not fully, not wholeheartedly yet, because I do still have 2.5 months before I need to actually follow that. But I'm taking a lot of information from that to kind of get me started as some inspiration and all of that. But I started that 3 weeks ago, and in my last video, I showed you that I was at 303. So I think it was 303 or 302. Anyway, you can check out that last video. But as of today, I am down to 298 pounds. And so I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm under 300. So it was a huge accomplishment just for that. And I know it's such a small amount. It's only a total of 11 pounds. But that's only 3 weeks. 3 weeks of just changing my diet and trying to eat healthier options, smaller portions. And that's really it. I mean, we've gone for walks, we've gone hiking. And I'm not sure if you'll see that video before this, but we bought an Oculus for the girls, and we've been enjoying that. I have a fitness thing on the Oculus. It's been awesome. I've been using that, but maybe once or twice a week. Walking is also an additional, like, once or twice a week too. So it's not heavy on the workout. It's not heavy on getting physical and active. But I am trying to do more and more of it. My body definitely is already starting to feel better with me doing that. I'm walking a little bit further than I used to be able to. But the reason why I decided on this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I had seen a local surgeon about it. Actually, I just went to one of his seminars or something, because I was considering it then. And then I was at 283 pounds, 285 pounds, something like that. And I was considering it back then, and I was completely approved. And when I went, they were telling me that the insurance I had at the time, I had good insurance, but it wasn't enough. I worked for the state, and Although benefits were okay, they're not as great as everyone thinks that they are. At least not for the state that I'm in. And I kept asking them, like, well, what about insurance? I know I have the insurance. Are they going to cover it? What do you need from me? What's going to happen? And she kept telling me, well, you work for the state. You're fine. You're covered. Don't worry about it. You got it. You don't even have to do any of the pre-classes. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't have to see a counselor or a therapist or anything. Like, I didn't have to go through any of that. So I had an appointment to go in and discuss the details of the surgery and actually get on the books and scheduled for the surgery. And when I went in for that appointment, she tells me that I had a $2,000 copay that I had to pay for it. And I just was like, well, I've been asking you from day one, like what I was going to need to do, what I was going to need to take care of. And in order before that would even like make an appointment for me, I had to pay that $2,000. And I started crying. Honestly, I started crying because I'm like, I've been asking you what I need to do, because I didn't want to get this far in the process just to be turned away like I was. And I know $2,000 doesn't seem like a lot. And yes, I was working for the state, and yes, it was a decent job, but we were still living paycheck to paycheck. We weren't by any means like able to just pull out $2,000 and say, okay, here you go for a surgery that is still considered elective. Like, that's sure, my insurance would have covered the majority of it, because here it costs between like $17,000 to $23,000 for the surgery. So it is a huge portion they cover, but at the same time, we were living paycheck to paycheck. I couldn't afford to just hand over $2,000. And so I felt defeated in that moment. I felt like, well, that's it. Like, something I can do about it. Well, fast forward 4 years later, I kind of had it in the back of my mind here and there, like thinking, what can I do? What, makes sense. In these 4 years, I've tried every diet. I've tried exercising. I love going to the gym. I actually really love going because it gets me out of the house and it's my own free time, and I love to do it. But there's just always setbacks, and I explained that in the last video. There's always setbacks, and recently Ruben and I started working for ourselves, and in doing so, we've become more financially secure, and we've been able to. I no longer have that same insurance, so we're paying for it totally out of pocket, and the surgery is going to cost just under $5,000 in Mexico. But that's the thing, like, the difference is we can actually afford it now. $5,000 seems like a lot for a lot of people, but I've also seen people pay a lot more than that in their states, like, or even when their insurance covers it, there's usually still some sort of copay, and maybe it's less than that still. But again, like, we've been able to become a little bit more financially stable and be able to afford this. Now, I'm not paying for it all up front. The facility I'm going to does allow payment plans, and that's what we're working on. That's why I haven't gone and done the surgery now. Now, I don't have, even though we are more secure, I don't have $5,000 just to throw at them either. But it was more reasonable, and they were more willing to work and say, okay, well, like, your surgery date's this day, let's split that up into however many payments, or how many times you want to make a payment a month, and that pays for it. So that's all situated and squared away, and one of the main reasons behind it is we like to travel, we like to go to theme parks, we like to do the rides, we like to do all of that stuff. And I think it was last year, 2 years ago, was when we were trying to get on some rides over at the Six Flags Vallejo. And I got on most of them, but there was one. And frankly, the ride operator didn't try, because I had just been on the ride before that. And then the next time around, he just didn't care. He wasn't trying to get me in it. He's like, nope, you don't fit. Too bad. It was really embarrassing. I kind of brushed it off and let it go. And then last year, right before the pandemic, so a little over a year ago, we were at Universal, and kind of the same thing. I used to be able to get on the Harry Potter ride, and then the next time we went, I wasn't, which was a sign I'm gaining more weight. Anything that I had lost while going to the gym, while trying to be healthy, when that stopped, I gained it all back, and then some. And then our most recent trip to Disney World this February, I couldn't get around. Like, it was so hard for me. My back was killing me more than anything. It wasn't that I wasn't physically able to. It wasn't like I was out of breath. It wasn't like anything like that. I just physically couldn't move anymore. My back hurt so bad from walking around that I had to be in a cart. We had to rent one of the scooters. And that is also extremely embarrassing. We were there for 5 days. We spent 5 days at Disney World. And every single day that we were there, I had to get a scooter. I wouldn't get a wheelchair because obviously it's even worse to have Ruben push me around in a wheelchair. And there's just no way that I would have been able to keep up with everybody at all. And that's when I was like, something has to change. I have to do something. And I started researching it. And I decided, touched on this a little bit in the last video too. I found this facility, and these are the people I wanted to go with. They just seemed really great compared to a couple of the other facilities that I was trying to contact. And they set me up, they got me on the schedule, and I'm making my payments towards it. But in the meantime, I'm still working on a loose pre-op diet. Like, I'm taking some of the information into consideration, but since I am so far out, I'm still eating a little bit more right now, maybe a couple more times a day. And not, when I say eating, it's like I'm giving myself like more snacks. And I know that might sound bad, but they are healthy options, where before I might have gone and gotten some French fries or, just something fatty out of my fridge, a Hot Pocket or something. I'm not doing things like that. I'm talking like I'm going with the carrots instead. I'm going with like those little protein snack things that have like the nuts and the cheese in it. I'm picking 0 sugar, 0 calorie yogurts, Greek yogurts. I'm picking things like that instead. I'm doing a lot of the protein shakes. Like in the morning, my breakfast essentially is a protein shake with my espresso. I make myself espresso in the morning, or I'll run through the Starbucks drive-thru and I'll just pour my protein shake into that, and that gives me my coffee and my protein in the morning. And then usually I'm not hungry again for anything until like 10 o'clock, like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And then that's when I'll have one of those healthier snacks. And then by the time lunchtime comes around, I have those packets of like seasoned tuna, where you just like rip open the top of the packet of tuna and you stick a fork in there and you just eat it. It's like a great source of protein. I think it has, depending on the one you get, between 15 and 18 grams of protein just in that, and just eat that. And then like, I don't know, an hour or two later, I might be hungry again, and again I go for like the snacks. Like I'll go for the yogurt or something. Also sometimes I'll bring a couple of hard-boiled eggs with me instead, and just mix it up. I want to make sure that it has protein in it, but I also want to make sure that there's like no to little carbs. I also make sure that there's no sugar. I think a couple things have had like 1 to 2 grams of sugar, but like I really am trying to get rid of sugar at all. I'm not drinking soda. I'm for the last several years, I've been off and on soda. Even when I go back on soda, I have 1 to 2 sodas a week. So in general, I'm not the biggest soda drinker. When we would go out to eat, I might get a soda, but half the time I'm still getting water too. And now it's basically purely water. I drink either just plain water, or I drink, there's Nestea, not Nestea, Nestle has a brand, they call them Splash, and they have just like hints. It's straight water, there's no carbonation in it. They have hints of, like, they have a lemon one, they have a pineapple mango one that they just came out with that's actually tastes kind of too sweet for me even. But there's a berry one, there's a grape one, there's an orange one. There's a lot of flavors, and it is literally just water with like a hint of flavor in it. So we'll drink those. Sometimes those are good. And then if I'm really craving something that's a little bit more as far as something to drink, we've been doing the Gatorade Zeros, and that's been pretty helpful. I did buy sugar-free popsicles in case, because I do tend to have a sweet tooth, and that's what I'm trying to really avoid. Even just the other day, I was telling Ruben, like, oh man, I really want something. I really want, like, a shake or an ice cream cone or something like that. And he has good intentions, and he's thinking, well, you haven't had anything like that in a long time. One's not going to hurt you. And then I was like, no, I have those sugar-free popsicles at home. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go home and have one of those, and I'm good. I'll just call that my ice cream, even though it's different, and just say, that's it. I'm good. I don't need anything else. And so that's what we did. And so, I was pretty proud of myself. Not to say that I don't cheat. We went out to sushi a few days ago, but at the same time, we didn't do the all you can eat. We didn't gorge ourselves. We had a couple rolls each. Water. Again, no sodas, no any of that. Still had water. And I think the next day or 2 days later, I was still down another pound. So it was just, you're still maintaining it, still kind of treating yourself. When the day comes that I have to actually be on that strict post-op diet, I will. And the reason I'm doing it this way too, I have 2 reasons for it. One is, I don't want to just hit it 3 weeks before the surgery and call it good. And now I've had the surgery and that's it. Everything's fine, and I'm not going to be able to eat at all anymore, so it doesn't matter. That's not what I want. I want to get in the mindset of already changing my thought process and the way I am towards food and the types of food that I can eat. I already want to change that. I already want to get in that mindset rather than waiting for 3 weeks before. And then I feel like I probably will just go back to my old ways if it's only been 3 weeks. Like, I feel like you need to train yourself for longer than that 3-week time. And that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, I want to wean myself into that diet. It doesn't seem like a super hard diet, but it doesn't seem super easy. I feel like if I were to just jump into it, I'm going to crave everything still during that time. And I might mess up, and I don't want to mess up. I want to make sure I stick to that diet and lose the amount of weight that I need to. I'm already more than halfway to that 20-pound weight loss that the doctor wants me to have. And I have a ton of time left. So I want to wean myself into eating that rather than jumping so far into it that now I might mess it up because it's so different than what I'm doing already. So I don't want to do that. And I think in the long term of this, because everybody else that I've seen, that I've talked to, talk about how it's not a solution to your weight. It doesn't fix the problem. It gives you a tool to use to help you drop that weight fast, but it's still your responsibility to work on keeping that weight off and eating healthier still and knowing what you can and can't do with your body. And I believe that. And that's why I'm starting this kind of the pre-op diet. And so far doing okay. As I've stated, I started this journey at 309 pounds. My highest weight was 312, but I started this journey at 309. Last week it was 302 or 303. And this week, as of today, I weighed myself and I am down to 298. So I'm under that 300-pound mark. I've lost 11 pounds from the beginning of this journey to now. I'm more than halfway to that 20-pound weight loss, and I'm feeling good about it right now. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I wish the surgery was a little bit sooner, but it's good. It's good where it's scheduled. It's the time when we have it scheduled. So, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and try and check back once a week and give you at least an update on my weight loss. If you have any questions or comments for me, go ahead and leave them down below, and be sure to like and subscribe our page. Thanks.